It is that time again, my friends. Once more, Jeff Keighley, the Dorito Pope himself, has come down from the Halo Vatican to bestow upon us the best games of the year. If you are unfamiliar, Jeff Keighley, who I believe was the editor-in-chief of Game Trailers, and I don't know if he still works there or not, but that's not really important, used to host a show called the Video Game Awards at the time on Spike TV, a news channel that I don't think exists anymore, or if it does, it exists solely as a place to watch cops in the middle of the day. Now, the Video Game Awards were awful. They were horrendous. I believe the first year they came out, they named Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 2 as Sports Game of the Year, and that year's Madden as the actual Game of the Year. And it's just been downhill since then. But Jeff Keighley, God love him, has been trying as hard as he possibly could to legitimize that stupid show. And the one thing you could always count on at the Video Game Awards was some pretty cool reveals, because it was the only event like it in the industry. A lot of really big games were announced at the Video Game Awards. The Last of Us, Skyrim, Fortnite, and some other garbage that I'm forgetting about here. Spike eventually stopped making the Game Awards because people hated it, and I don't think it did very well in the ratings. But Jeff Keighley, freed of the shackles of toxic masculinity, freed of the shackles of toxic masculinity, came about and created the Game Awards. A significantly classier occasion, albeit one whose reveals weren't nearly as interesting, though they weren't bad. Keighley has been doing this for a few years now, and I have been predicting, recording, and reacting to every single one. Though most of that stuff is gone with the wind, the people who are fans of me love this stupid bullshit, and frankly, so do I. So this year, I am going to make a proper video giving my predictions for what games will win what categories, for what reveals we will see at the show, and most importantly, on the night, December 6th, Thursday, we will be live streaming the show on my second channel, or some other bullshit channel. I'll link to that shit, I guess. So without further ado, I'm going to go through the categories and tell you who's going to win what category, and who I think should win, because they're rarely the same. First category. So here's the thing, I'm not going to go through every category because I only care about half of them, and I only know about half of them. So for example,
this year, the Game Awards has expanded our esports categories. Here are your nominees. In the category of Best Esports Player, presented by Omen by HP, Best Esports Team, for Best Esports Coach, for Best Esports Event, recognizing another new category is the Best Esports Host. The nominees for Best Esports Moment are...
I don't know anything about esports. I don't care about esports. The only thing I know about esports is Infiltration, a very popular fighting game player, beat the shit out of his wife. And that's it. Everything else that happened in esports this year, I don't know, and I don't care about.
Content Creator of the Year is a category to recognize an individual who has contributed to the community throughout the year. The nominees this year are Dr. Lupo, Myth, Ninja, Pokimane, and Willy Rex.
I was going to talk about this until I went through the list of nominees, and I didn't recognize anyone there except for Ninja, who I don't even like. I have looked at some of the award categories, and I feel that way about a few of them. So if I've not played any of the games in any of the categories, I'm not going to talk about them. So,
Best Debut Indie Game,
not talking about it.
The Best Student Game,
not talking about it.
For Online Gameplay, the Best Multiplayer nominees are...
I looked at that one, I played one game in the category, not going to talk about it.
In the category of Best Strategy Game,
not going to talk about it.
Next up, Best Sports Racing Game.
Not going to talk about it. We're going to start...
Best Family Game.
I'm going to work my way up the list. Now, I know what you're saying. Dylan, you make fun of fat retards on the internet, And I know that you ain't ever been inside of a woman. So what type of fucking family do you have? Well, I have a very large patchwork of a family that I love dearly, you fucking cuck. And we play video games pretty often. It's always a joy. I'm looking very forward to Super Smash Brothers so we can play it on Christmas. So let's see what's in this category that I've played.
Mario Tennis Aces, Nintendo Labo, Overcooked 2, Starlink Battle for Atlas, and Super Mario Party.
Now, I don't think Super Mario Party is out. I think that's a game that comes out in a few weeks, but probably like review copies went out so the reviewers can review it. Or maybe it is out and I'm retarded. Either way, I have not played any game in this category. I'm going to say Jackbox Party Pack 5 is the best family game. Although probably shouldn't be, and it's not the one I played the most of this year. The one game me and my family played the most of is a tie between Mario Kart 8 and ARMS. Neither of those games came out this year, but I'm going to say ARMS deserves the spot because it's a very underrated gem of a game. More than likely, Nintendo Labo or Mario Tennis Aces will win. Probably Labo because it's a weird one and it's a new idea. And new ideas deserve to get more recognition for trying something new. But, you know.
In the category of Best Fighting Game, the nominees are BlazBlue Cross Tag Battle, Dragon Ball FighterZ, Soul Calibur 6, and Street Fighter V Arcade Edition.
Your boy Dylan is a very, very casual fighting game player. I got a stick. It's the cheapest one I could find. I play online for the first week when no one knows how to play, and then I angrily refuse to play past that point. But I buy games when they're new, so I'm part of the industry. And I had a job, so I'm doing better than most pro FGC players. That joke would have been way funnier if I said it a month ago before I quit, but whatever. What's the best fighting game? It's Fighters. It's Fighters. Fighters is the one that deserves the spot. The other games are okay. Fighters is a huge event. It's the biggest release the FGC has seen in 10 years, since Street Fighter 4 easily. It's a great game. Everyone loves it. It's doing phenomenal. Why would you ever pick any of these other garbage games? Fighters is doing so well, it's actually gotten a handful of game journalists into Dragon Ball, which is always a good thing. Because Dragon Ball, I think, is very underrated. And I say underrated very specifically, because it's successful, but I don't think people appreciate it narratively as much as they should. But that's a video for another day.
The nominees for Best Role-Playing Game are...
I didn't play many of these this year, so...
Dragon Quest XI, Monster Hunter World.
That doesn't count.
Ni no Kuni 2, Octopath Traveler, and Pillars of Eternity 2, Deadfire.
Octopath Traveler should probably win this. By all accounts, it is a very charming little game. It's definitely gorgeous. I hear it's very fun. Really wanted to play it. Didn't get to because I didn't have a job when it came out. I know I just said I had a job. I didn't have a job for very long. Lay the fuck off. Monster Hunter World's not an RPG. Not in this sense. It doesn't belong in this category. It deserves to win a award. It doesn't deserve to win this award. I'm gonna put my hat in the ring for Octopath Traveler. What's this next category?
Best Action Adventure Game.
The category that every major game falls into, yet has no set definition.
Assassin's Creed Odyssey, God of War, Marvel's Spider-Man, Red Dead Redemption 2, and Shadow of the Tomb Raider.
It's Spider-Man. That Spider-Man game's super fun. It's definitely, like, as far as big releases go, as far as the game I paid $60 for, that's one of the only ones where I will actually boot it up this year just to play it. Not to experience it, not to talk to people about it, but to actually play it. It's a fun game. Swinging around is fun. That DLC is actually really cool. It's flawed, but it's a good game, and I think it deserves some recognition for being a good game when we don't really make good games anymore.
This year, your choices for Best Action Game are...
I have no idea what the difference between this and action-adventure game is, other than
Call of Duty Black Ops 4.
I keep forgetting that game came out. I know it came out. I like had a job and I was buying games when it came out. There are advertisements at my job for it. I keep forgetting it.
Dead Cells, Destiny 2 Forsaken, Far Cry 5, and Mega Man 11.
Dead Cells. Mega Man 11 is a fun game. I like it a whole lot, but Dead Cells is a very, very fun game. It definitely struck a real chord with a lot of people. I really wish I had a little more time to put into it because I do love it, and I really neglected it. So I wish I had given it a little more focus. But I guess I can always come back to it. But it probably deserves that spot. Best VR game. Don't have a VR headset, but I feel like Tetris Effect is going to win this category, and I'm not going to go through the rest of them because I don't care. Best mobile game. Don't play games on my phone. I'm not a queer. At least not that bad of a queer.
Best independent game.
I like indie games. I like indie games because they're cheaper than big games, and they're usually more fun to actually play.
The nominees are Celeste from Matt Makes Games, Dead Cells from Motion Twin, Into the Breach from Subset Games, Return of the Obra Dinn by Lucas Pope, and The Messenger from Sabotage Studio.
Celeste will probably win this category. It's in another category that I want it to win, but I don't think it will. Ideally, I think The Messenger should win this category. I did not play The Messenger, but by all accounts, it's a fantastic game. So if it won, I'd be okay with that. And I think Celeste should win that other category, but it probably won't. So Celeste or The Messenger, probably Celeste. I'm going to lock in for Celeste. Games for Impact
recognize a thought-provoking game with a profound pro-social meaning or message.
This is the gay category. They don't call it that, but that's what it is. It's the category for games that are super woke.
The nominees this year are 1111 Memories Retold, Celeste, Florence, Life is Strange 2 Episode 1, and The Missing, J.J. Macfield and the Island of Memories.
It should be The Missing. That's Swery65's new game. I was going to get it, but it was expensive, and I didn't get it because it was expensive. He should get a little recognition because he's a good developer. The story in Celeste is not very good, and I hate it, and I wish it wasn't in there because it gets in the way of an. It doesn't get in the way of a game, but it's stupid.
In the category of Best Performance, this year's nominees are Brian Deckard as Connor, Detroit Become Human, Christopher Judge as Kratos, God of War, Milisanthi Mahout as Cassandra, Assassin's Creed Odyssey, Roger Clark as Arthur Morgan in Red Dead Redemption 2, and Yuri Lowenthal as Peter Parker, Marvel's Spider-Man.
It's gotta go to your boy Arthur. You know it's gotta go to your boy Arthur. That motherfucker makes the game. If Yuri Lowenthal wasn't Spider-Man, maybe some of those scenes wouldn't work, but I feel like just as many of those scenes don't work because it's Yuri Lowenthal, as the ones that do work do because it's Yuri Lowenthal. That was a shitty way to phrase that, but I think the idea comes through clear. This dude, Roger Clark, 100% is Arthur Morgan. If that character was even slightly different, that game would be garbage. And it's one of the best games of the year, and writing-wise, might actually be one of the best Western video games I've ever played. He needs to win this award, because he 100% beats the shit out of everyone else. I don't care about your fucking lesbian character from Assassin's Creed Odyssey, because Assassin's Creed is a bad series. I don't care about Kratos being sad and old. I don't care about your fucking mean boyfriend robot gay nigga. Dumb.
In the category of Best Audio Design presented by Dolby, the nominees for 2018 are Call of Duty Black Ops 4, Forza Horizon 4, God of War, Marvel's Spider-Man, and Red Dead Redemption 2.
I guess Red Dead. I don't get. This is a dumb category. What's the next one?
For Best Score and Music, presented by Spotify, the nominees are Celeste, score by Lina Raine; God of War, score by Bear McCreary; Marvel's Spider-Man, score by John Pisano; Ni no Kuni 2, score by Joe Hisaishi; Octopath Traveler, score by Yasunori Nishiki; and Red Dead Redemption 2, score by Woody Jackson.
I guess Celeste. I like the music in Celeste. It's nice. Red Dead's got some real... No, it's Red Dead. I'm stupid. Red Dead's... Have you heard the soundtrack to Bastion? Because that's one of the best soundtracks I've ever heard. Red Dead is like that again. So if you haven't played Red Dead and you like Bastion, check out Red Dead's soundtrack because it'll bring you back a little bit.
For Best Art Direction, the 5 nominees are Assassin's Creed Odyssey, God of War, Octopath Traveler, Red Dead Redemption 2, and Return of the Obra Dinn.
You're getting a lot of repeats. Octopath Traveler was sold almost entirely on its very unique and very beautiful art style, 100%. Red Dead's art style is just the Old West. It's not a particularly unique one. Octopath is the only thing like it I've ever seen. What's this next category?
Best Narrative is a category that celebrates the best stories in games. And this year, the nominees are Detroit Become Human,
No.
God of War,
No.
Life is Strange 2, Episode 1,
No.
Marvel's Spider-Man, and
Red Dead Redemption 2 is winning this category. When we talk about good video game stories, I find we almost always refer to Japanese games because there is a difference in how Japanese developers make games, wherein which a director has a lot more power and a lot more sway in what gets in the game. So when we talk about the greatest video game stories, we are talking about games by people like Hideo Kojima. We are talking about people like Yoko Taro. We are talking about games like Yakuza. We are talking about games like Nier. We are talking about games like Final Fantasy 6 or 7, depending on when you were born. These are the games we are talking about. We very rarely are talking about Western titles because oftentimes the actual stories in them are not very good. Have you played Deus Ex? Its story is dumb. Its branching and sort of weird fluidity is what makes it cool, but the core story to the first Deus Ex game is bad. It just is. It's hokey and dumb. When I think about what makes a good video game story in the West, I think about games like Fallout. I think about games like Fallout. I don't really think about Western games all that much. They have good ideas, but narratively, it's really not there. Red Dead Redemption 2 is up there. It is in top 5 favorite video game stories. It's really phenomenal. It's a game that deserves a lot of deeper analysis than I think some people are going to give it. I think a lot of people are going to sweep it under the rug as another Rockstar game. And as someone who really doesn't like Rockstar games, Red Dead Redemption 2 is a fantastic game with a fantastic story, and I really will be upset if any other game wins that category.
For Best Game Direction, the nominees are A Way Out from Hazelight Studios, Detroit Become Human from Quantic Dream, God of War from Sony Santa Monica, Marvel's Spider-Man from Insomniac Games, and Red Dead Redemption 2 from Rockstar Games.
Game direction is a really hard thing to pin down for an award. I would suppose God of War, because it is very impressive with a lot of the technology they showcase in that game, even if I don't really give a shit about it, should probably win this. Red Dead should not win this one, because I think all the news stories that came out about Red Dead firmly mean that this game was poorly directed. If you're a good director, your employees don't need to pull 100-hour work weeks multiple times in order to get the project in. Part of your job is making sure everything comes in at a reasonable pace. And if you can't do that, you're a bad director by definition. That's a weird category in general.
The nominees for Best Ongoing Game are...
Otherwise known as the Fortnite category.
Destiny 2, Fortnite, No Man's Sky, Overwatch, and Rainbow Six Siege.
What's gonna win the fucking Fortnite category, Abel? Get your ass up here, dog! Come here! Abel! Abel! Get up here! Come here! Good boy. I love you. I love you, Abel. You're a good dog. You're a good boy. I love you. You want to go on the bed? You want to go on the bed? Go on. Go on. Good boy. Good boy.
And finally, it is my honor to announce to you the 6 nominees for Game of the Year, celebrating the absolute best in creative and technical achievement from games released this year. Those nominees are...
Game of the Year. This is it, boys. This is it, Chief. This is the category that everyone wants to talk about. So buckle the fuck up, little doggy, because here we go!
Assassin's Creed Odyssey from Ubisoft Montreal. Celeste from Matt Makes Games. God of War from Sony Santa Monica. Marvel's Spider-Man from Insomniac Games. Monster Hunter World from Capcom. And Red Dead Redemption 2 from Rockstar Games.
There are 2 games in this category. Red Dead Redemption 2 and Celeste. What this comes down to is, can a game that has beautiful art direction, beautiful narrative, amazing characters, really interesting mission creation... Fuck. What this comes down to is, can a game with beautiful art direction, gorgeous graphics, phenomenal characters, some of the best writing I've ever seen in a Western game, and just an all-around phenomenal experience, get beaten out by a game whose only major selling point is that it is one of the tightest, funnest, most creative, and most challenging platformers I've ever played, much less played this year. And I'm going to be honest with you, I don't think it can. I love Red Dead 2, but I think Red Dead 2 should win the narrative category because that's what it does best. It should win the soundtrack category because that's what it does best. But it's a game. If I watched Red Dead 2, I might have actually enjoyed it a little more because I didn't have to fucking ride my horse 30 minutes back and forth between all the narrative shit. I like Red Dead. I liked it enough to keep playing it after I finished the story. But in lieu of playing other games like Spyro or Kingdom Hearts or Kirby, I haven't gone back to it. And it's just sitting there taking up a fourth of my PlayStation storage space. Whereas I probably put 30 hours into Celeste trying to 100% it and failing. I did one night actually stream my attempts at one level. I streamed for 6 or 7 hours and I didn't finish it because the game can be brutal if you're trying to 100% it. But if you're just playing it normally, it's perfectly difficult. Just enough challenge that you'll probably fail 2-3 times on every little section, but enough that you really feel a sense of accomplishment when you complete it. If Celeste beats Red Dead, Spider-Man, Assassin's Creed, and God of War, it would be a huge signal to the industry that tight gameplay beats all, which is how it should be. If you have a god-awful story and fucking silky, smooth gameplay, I will play that game 3 or 4 times just for that. If your game is ugly as sin, but it feels good, that game has personality now. Red Dead does everything right except for the actual gameplay, which a lot of the times feels clunky and weird and boring. And because of that, I don't think it should win Game of the Year against Celeste. Will it? Probably. And honestly, if it did, I wouldn't even complain that much. But Celeste deserves to be Game of the Year because it really is one of the funnest games I've ever played, and it definitely deserves to be recognized as the best game that came out this year. Fuck! Abel, are you excited? Come here, boy. Come here. Abel's very angry with me right now. He's not happy at all. Good boy. Good boy, Abel. Come here. Yeah, he doesn't want anything to do with me.